Oh boy, here we are in what is often considered by many to be the worst episode of Season 1, I Was a Teenage Gary. I mean, when the title card has horror music that sounds like a catastrophe, it probably isn't good. But who knows, maybe my opinion will be different. Anyways, what happens in this episode is that SpongeBob and Patrick are going on a jellyfishing trip, and Squidward is tasked to take care of Gary while they're gone. Instead, however, Squidward just slacks off for 3 days and realizes that he hasn't fed Gary, and he ends up becoming extremely sick due to the lack of food. When SpongeBob comes back, they call the doctor, who tells them to inject Gary with snail plasma. SpongeBob accidentally gets stabbed with the snail plasma and ends up turning into a snail in a very ugly sequence. And then when he tries to get into Squidward's house, he ends up terrorizing Squidward until eventually Squidward accidentally gets stabbed with the snail plasma himself, and then they all start singing in Snail on a Wall. Yeah, that was a lot to unpack, and honestly, the first part of this episode is okay, although Squidward ignoring Gary is pretty sad. But the next scene, when Squidward realizes he hasn't fed him and genuinely feels bad, and the next scene is pretty sweet. However, the last part of this episode is what puts it into infamy. The last part, in my opinion, is weird and in a bad way. Nothing works, and the episode just comes off as completely creepy, as the jokes that were attempted to be made in this part don't work, as it's just SpongeBob chasing Squidward as a snail, and everything else being attempted in this scene also comes off as weird, and even without the creepiness aspect of this episode, it's pretty uninteresting, all things considered. I do have to agree that this episode is bad, and while yes, it does have a few highlights, overall the ending part just ruins it in comparison to the rest of the episode, which is just alright. Because of this, I'm going to give this episode a 3 out of 10, putting it above Squeaky Boots but below Jellyfishing, as I did find Squeaky Boots to be slightly more annoying, and both of these episodes have creepiness factors in them.